1 second, folks. Okay, now I'm recording it. Great. Okay, so first let's just take, the largest sort of like, high level view of what Xangati's bringing to your practice. We offer hybrid cloud infrastructure performance assurance. Service assurance is another way to say that, right? Service is a little bit broader because it means not only is your environment performing well, but it's also up. And has availability. So in order to accomplish this mission, there are 3 big things that we're doing. And you start at the bottom of the pyramid. The first thing we're doing is we're going out and we're gathering information from all of the silos within the centralized infrastructure. Maybe you're just running hypervisors. Maybe you're running virtual desktops, virtual apps, maybe all 3. And so we're collecting information from all the switches and the compute and everything, putting that into our in-memory database. Then we run our advanced analytics over that information so that we can make sense out of those numbers that we've collected. And I mean, are these numbers good, bad, indifferent? And where are we at with these? So that's our advanced real-time analytics, which I'll be speaking about. And then beyond that, it's things like, well, we've done our analysis. Now, here's how we're really helping the customer out. We're saying, hey, we're looking at your environment, and we've been looking at it for a while, and these problems are cropping up. Here's the root cause of those problems. And oh, by the way, these other problems are not cropping up yet, but they could happen out in the future. So we recommend that you make the following moves: to rebalance your workloads or to buy more equipment. And that then will prevent problems from occurring in the future. So those are our 3 steps: give visibility into what's going on, help the customer to resolve issues using the data we collect and our advanced analytics, and then helping them to offer the highest levels of service assurance for their organization, even preventing problems from happening out in the future. And so here we are with a little more detailed view of what it is that we're measuring, and you can see that we collect information from certainly the hypervisor hosts. That's a great source of information, but also LDAP servers and DNS servers, Zen desktop servers, Zen app servers, VMware Horizon with View servers. All that information is being pulled together by Xangati, and that gives us a holistic view across all of the silos that are in the data center. We don't just look at switches. We don't just look at Zen desktop. We don't just look at the hypervisor. We don't just look at storage. We look at them all, and we look at them all together. It's not like they're each on their own tab. These are all time correlated, each of these sources of information, onto the exact same timeline that lives down in our in-memory database. So we collect and we correlate. And that gives us a holistic end-to-end view, which is really the best way to make sure that everything's running. Otherwise, you know what it is? You're like looking at the world through a straw. Very frustrating, hard to piece it together. We give that holistic, broad view. And we do so without the requirement for agents, which is much applauded by our customers. Because agents, of course, can be quite evil. Once they're installed, you have to wonder if that was the correct version of the agent over time, right? And then reboots are oftentimes required for agents. Agents can open security holes. Agents that are installed onto mobile devices drain battery life and sap performance. So agents are largely evil. And you know what? You really don't need them. To make sure that the environment's running properly, agents are not needed. I'm going to go into a scenario a little bit later where I'll talk about when you're chasing down a problem. So what we do is we collect all of our metrics without the requirement for agents. What this means is that the Xangati goes in really fast, whereas other solutions that are out there in the marketplace might take weeks to implement, to get integrated into your environment and require professional services and so forth. Not the case with Xangati. Once you've filled out the pre-installation checklist, take our OVF file, crank it up, and wire it in. You've got all your credentials right there on your pre-installation checklist. You just wire it in. It takes an hour, a couple hours at most, and then you're off and running. So that is something that is very refreshing. And even though we don't use agents, we get the best granularity in the business. The other tools that are out there almost universally collect their metrics every 15 minutes. And you know, that's just not often enough. If you're trying to chase down, if you're the IT dude and you're trying to chase down a problem that is a 3-second delay every time the user touches the screen of their device, you're going to find that with a tool that looks briefly every 15 minutes. Probably not going to find it. You'll be forever dogged by that problem. That user will not ever be happy. And this is the type of thing that gives VDI and virtual app implementations a bad name. You can't find the problem because the tool isn't good enough. Not so with Xangati. We offer second-by-second optics, so when there is a problem, we see it. We see it every time. We're not averaging over 15 minutes and everything looks okay. We're averaging over every single second we're collecting. And some of those seconds are not looking okay. And bam, then you can go in and fix it. So the thing is, though, you want us to eliminate any false alarms that might occur. We all hate false alarms. We get plenty of real alarms without having to deal with false alarms. So what we do is, Xangati, when you first install us, we go in based on industry best practices. We determine whether a particular metric is good, bad, or indifferent. And it'll be green, yellow, or red as a result of our determination. But we learn from the environment over time so that we learn that a particular metric could have a certain value on Monday that's perfectly acceptable. That same value showing up on Thursday afternoon is out of control, way out of normal, should not be happening. We've got an anomaly going on. So we learn that with a value that each of your thresholds should be for every hour of every day. And also on hours, off hours, weekdays, weekends, all of that. So this allows us to eliminate false alarms because now we don't have thresholds being crossed that, oh, no, that one's okay, don't worry about it. We're doing the thinking to eliminate that and adjusting the values of each of your metrics for you so you don't have to do it with a manual effort, and that's dynamic thresholds. So customers usually appreciate to hear that. And then the other thing about Xangati that's quite unique is we record it. You know, today on the news you see the police wearing the cameras. It's like, you know what, just record everything that's going on and then later you can sort it out in court. So that's what we've got. The problem that happens for a lot of IT people is, you know, some event happened, person's all riled up about it, and yet we can't find it. It was in the past. Not so with Xangati. With Xangati, every time a dynamic threshold is crossed, then we grab a full recording of the entire IT environment. And later, that recording, it's portable, so it can be mailed to IT personnel. They very quickly go through the recording, find the problem, and fix it. Now, the other thing is that if you get, even with knocking out false alarms, you're still going to have quite a few alarms. And so, you know, you might get 50 alarms in a day. Maybe you get 100 alarms if you have a big environment. And then the subsequent finger pointing on, you know, what's the cause of this alarm, blah, blah, blah. It turns out if you may have gotten 100 alarms yesterday, but only 3 mattered. And so that's where Xangati goes in, and with our advanced analytics, we do root cause analysis of all of the alarms. And we show you the 3 that you've actually got to fix. That saves an immense amount of time for IT personnel. This is a much applauded feature. And then the other thing is that, you know, things might be doing well today in the customer's environment, but you know, what you want to do is you want to try and get on top of problems so that you're not always in a reactive mode, so that you can deal with them before they actually occur. And so with Xangati, we have a piece of our product called Storm Tracker that analyzes all of the alarms that are being generated over time and determines the severity level and the recurrence pattern for those alarms, and then gives advice so that you can avert problems from happening. So we're looking out into the future. And we're giving the exact advice of what needs to happen, there's basically 2 things you can do when there's a performance problem. Number 1, well, 3. Number one, tell the person to stop doing what they're doing because it's them. They're the culprit. Number two is rebalance workloads so that you're making better use of the resources that you have. Maybe some are being overstressed while others are being underutilized. We catch all that. And the third thing that you can do is you can actually purchase more equipment because your needs are growing over time. So this idea of getting prescriptive remediation, the exact steps that need to be taken in order to either rebalance workloads or to purchase some new equipment and put that into place. And you know, CFOs love that. They love, and they get POs all the time. They love getting a PO that has a Xangati smoking gun report with it that says, you know what, CFO, we really need this. I'm not making it up. We've got to put these we've got to buy these things and we've got to put them into place because these are the bottlenecks and this is what the future is going to look like if we don't. So people usually appreciate that. Now, I'm not going to do a demo as part of this talk, but I want you to see the screens. So this is our main screen that usually goes up on a big monitor, and if it's all green, everybody's happy. And when we, with our advanced analytics, turn some of these metrics yellow or red, then you know somebody should probably be looking into some of these things. And so all of the things we monitor are in rows, and our advanced analytics are determining performance, availability, capacity utilization, and efficient usage of the existing infrastructure. And then whenever a dynamic threshold is crossed, an alarm will be generated. Here's a whole bunch of alarms. And for each alarm, there's a powerful recording, as I mentioned. Here's the powerful recording I was talking about earlier. You go, and this happens to, in this case, it's a visual trouble ticket that came in, which I'm going to talk about in just a second. And it's basically a network bitrate problem, and you can pivot around with these other two panes, and you can move through time down here. Here's the problem in this pane. Move through time, pivot around with these other two panes. You can find any problem in 10 minutes. No more 3 days later, I can't find it. There's a recording. We recorded everything at the scene of the crime. Every time there's a crime, we record everything. So just go through the recording, bam, you got your culprit. Now, sometimes people will call in and report things to the police, like, hey, I'm Joe, I'm out here in Chicago, I'm getting a 5-second delay every time I touch my mobile device, my tablet, and I'm completely ticked off. Boom, create trouble ticket. And then what happens is that comes in, and it comes in with a recording attached. So we don't, you know, he has reported it. Now we've got everything we need to resolve it quickly. And this trouble ticket system can feed into the larger trouble ticket systems that your customers may have. A lot of people do that. Now, our storm tracker is our highest level piece of software that we have, and it is amazing what it can do. Here you're just looking at a heat map of, you know, what's going on with the hypervisors. I got 3 hypervisors. How are my data stored? You know, if things aren't bad, you know, they start to turn gray. And here I have a storm. So I've gone and said, hey, show me all the current storms that are going on. And I've got one right here. It's a CPU contention storm on an ESX host 111.1, which reports into a certain vCenter. And you can see that this storm started on 6/17, duration of 4 hours. The thing about this storm is that all of these objects down here, all of these VMs, they're alerting. There's more because there's a scroll bar. They're all alerting. CPU ready is one of the big alerts that are happening. But you don't want to go through and have to chase down the recording and resolve each of these alerts. So you crank up Storm Tracker and it says, you know what? Just fix this right here. The CPU contention problem, all of these alerts go away. And that's what I was saying. You don't have to go through 100 alerts. Just fix the 3 that matter. And this is where you see the ones that matter. So if I click on the Analyze button, then here's my Storm Tracker analysis. It says, well, here's all the VMs that were involved. And oh, by the way, view client 53, this client 6 and this client 12, they're exhibiting significantly higher CPU usage. And so now I can actually get a monitor and I can go right into those virtual machines and see the processes that are running on them. Because those are what you call your noisy neighbors. And what they're doing is they're pulling down the host. I know because I know what they're running. They're running our script from hell that is designed to make trouble. So now what I've got is the storm tracker giving the exact steps that need to take place. CPU contention storm on host 1. Here is the severity and recurrence of this storm. It's not the first time it's ever happened. It's been recurring, guys. Look, sometimes it's not so bad. Sometimes it's quite bad. And over time, it's getting worse. So what you've got to do, Mr. Customer, is either upgrade the physical CPU on the host so that it can run all those virtual machines you got running on it, or migrate some of those virtual machines off to another host, and then this storm will not recur. So take our advice, take our remediation advice. Move those virtual machines to where? Well, you just go into our capacity, our absolute capacity alert report, and you can see that, you know, that host 1, that thing's being pinned to like 96%. No wonder you're getting some storms, some resource contention storms. You're just using that host too hard. But look, host 3 sitting here, you know, 37% utilized. So just vMotion some VMs down onto the, and rebalance your workloads, and everything's going to be happy. And even if things are all happy today, we have this ability to predict out how, with our capacity prediction, to predict out when all hell's going to break loose. So I know that in 10 days, I'm going to be looking at a consumed memory storm. In 15 days, I'll have a network usage storm. In 21 days, I'll have a CPU usage storm. So I can start, I got time to fix these, and then these problems will never actually occur, and my end users will be super happy. Now, this is the best thing for you guys, you know, our resellers and our solution providers. The executive dashboard, it's not really a dashboard. It's like a report, okay? And you run it every 24 hours, you run this report. It can automatically be sent out to your clients to say, hey, here, we're monitoring your virtual infrastructure. Here's how it's looking. Or maybe your client runs this report and sends it out to, you know, executives that work there and say, hey, here's how our infrastructure is looking in terms of performance, availability, and capacity utilization, which is measures, are we like hitting it too hard? In terms of efficiency, which is, are we hitting it not hard enough, right? If you have very low utilization of your IT infrastructure, you're wasting money. If you drive your infrastructure too high, you're going to have tons of storms and you're not going to meet your SLAs. So you got to get these numbers. You know, we show them both so you can get it just right. And any anomalies that might happen could be indicative of security issues that are occurring. So the executive dashboard is very powerful. Can learn a little bit more about that at another time. For now, I just want to get into a wrap-up mode and say this is how customers are using Xangati. You know, on day 1, they go in and they deploy and install the product. As I mentioned, no agents or probes. It goes in really fast. Then it goes out and automatically discovers their environment and maps everything and learns all of the interdependencies. And from that day forward, you're ready to monitor, you know, analyze and remediate any problems that come up, anticipate and plan for the future, monitor the health of the infrastructure real time on an ongoing basis. And so you can build practices out of this. I mean, we just make the software. So it's really the partners that put it in. Now, there's kind of 3 ways that people get involved with Xangati. The first is to just do a quick IT assessment. Because we're just a virtual appliance with no agents, and we go in so fast, people just put us into the customer's environment, you know, 2 to 4 hours of SE time, let it run for a week, and then you can give that customer a report that just tells them all about their environment in ways that they never, you know, things they never imagined. And they love it. They always love these reports. And then the second, and so let's say they go, hey, that was really great. So then they buy a bunch of gear from you, right? You give them the bomb. You go, hey, we looked at your environment. This is how it looks. And by the way, we're going to sell you this new storage system and this 10 gig switch. Your hosts are fine. Everything else is fine. So fine, they buy that stuff. Now you go in with your professional services, you implement the plan that you did as part of this assessment. You train the customer on how to use this thing, you know, for monitoring purposes, set up some dashboards for them and some, you know, reports that will automatically go out, stuff like that. So it's basically wiring it in, right? And then the third thing is, maybe the customer just wants you to manage this. So now you're sitting at your site, and you've got what we call our NOC dashboard, where you look at each one of your customers is a line on that dashboard, and it's red, yellow, green. So you're monitoring the customer site remotely and continuously. You might be the one that actually goes in and resolves those trouble tickets for them and provide daily executive summary reports and advise on what needs to be purchased next. So a quick assessment, the professional services for putting this in, ongoing managed services, lots of ways to make money with Xangati. And so if you happen to be on the line and you're not a partner, but you got on the line to see if maybe this would be something for you, then please come and register to become a partner on our website. It's quick and easy, and then we'll get things going with you. And if you're already a partner, you should be coming to the xangati.com/partners. We've created a portal just for you. Put all of our assets right there where you can get at them quickly without having to, fish through all of our public website to get it. It's just like sort of the things we know you need all in one place. And also some things that don't show up on the partner, on the public website that are just like tools for you, our partners, to use. And so with that, good, I'm on track with that. This is my concluding slide to thank you for attending the webinar this morning. And we talked about the fact that Xangati is out there monitoring the virtual infrastructure, be it just virtual servers, or if they're virtual desktops, or if they're virtual applications. And oh, by the way, we do physical too. We don't care if your compute, network, and storage are physical or virtual. They give us the answers we need. We're good with that. We grab the answers. So we can do physical and virtual. And then we use our advanced analytics to look at that, and that allows the customer to be able to provide excellent service assurance to their customers. And that's a combination of Xangati plus you in the customer's environment, helping everything to be optimized. And so if you're not following us on Twitter, please do so. And that is the conclusion of what I wanted to say. And at this time, what I'll do is I'll open it up if there are any questions. Obviously, you get in touch with us. You can ask questions, all day long. But if you have any questions right now that are on the forefront of your mind, I'd be happy to field those. You can either type them into the chat area or just start talking. I'll hear you. Okay, actually, I do see a question coming in here. What hypervisors do we support? So, sorry, I didn't cover that. So, it would be the ESXi, of course, the market leader, Hyper-V, and Zen Server. And so that leaves out one, right? That leaves out KVM. So that's on our roadmap. And so, okay, well, I don't see any more questions. So with that, then, thank you for joining us today. We look forward to interacting with you to land some new accounts for you and for Xangati. And with that, this webinar will be concluded.